Grumble, grumble. All right, this is the Grumpy Meeple, and we're back with part 2 of our playthrough of Quest 2 of the Tanares Adventures tutorial. Catching you up real quick, I did find a reference to the rules that you remove your mana cubes at the beginning of every turn, and I'm assuming you flip them as well. That would make sense. At the beginning of every quest, so go ahead and flip these bad boys. And I thought what we do in this installment is actually just set the board up, because that's a little bit of a process, because I don't have the board or any of the components for the core game, basically. So stuff like all these traps, I'm having to kind of mock up my own fake versions of them. And so I thought that we would go through that together, and you can see how even if you don't have the core game yet, you can still get going with this. It just takes a little bit of doing. So let's see, in terms of terrain, we need 3 altars. I'm sure I can find something to proxy those in. A shit ton of spikes and a set of stairs, as well as barricades, which I believe actually did come with this. 2 doors, 2 big doors. And it doesn't reference these portally looking things, which is a little weird. 3 altars, unless those are the altars. Those must be the altars. Yeah. Miscellaneous doors. Yeah, it's weird. It doesn't really reference whatever these are either. Am I missing it? 1 wall, 3 walls, 3 walls. 3 altars, spikes, 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 stairs, archer. Oh, barrels. Okay, 3 barrels, so it does. 1 berserker, Goliog, necromancer, spy, warrior. Oh, okay, good. So it tells you the exact figures that you'll need too, which is nice, so you can get going. All right. And a shit ton of walls. Okay, so let's get started with the stuff that we actually have. All this drainy stuff over here. Don't believe those are used. None of these bigger tiles would be used. Very cool though. I'm excited to see when they do come into use. Altar. Altar. Not sure where the other altar is supposed to be. Let's just check the rulebook real quick. 3 corrupted zones. 2 planar riffs. Yeah, these are the planar riffs, which is what I was assuming was the altar. 14 ice barricades. Okay. This might be something that's, yeah, these are in the other box. Mother fuck bucket. That's frustrating. So we'll have to proxy the altars too. Something. I don't know, might not be that big of a deal. We've got barricade, so it is, oh yeah, initial setup, event 1, event 2. We definitely want to follow that. Yeah, so you set up all the basic terrain stuff initially. Yeah. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, the barricade right there. And then here starts our wall. Go ahead and grab that so that we can start getting our bearings a bit here. And we've got a large barricade on the other side of that wall, and it is 8 over. We've got another 3 barricade. There's 1 over and down from there. So I'm using the Warlock terrain system again. I have made my own 1-inch walls by combining 2 1/4-inch walls. Don't strictly need to do that to get this to work, obviously. I just did it so that everything was kind of nice and clean when I laid it out on the board here. We do what we got to do to play our games, don't we? Fuck yeah, we do. All right. Another barricade, 4 over, 2 down. And we've got a barricade over on this side as well. It is 8 and 1 over. So I believe it's right there. That looks good. All right, we can continue placing out our walls. So 15 over. Is that a 3? That's a 3Z wall. Put a wall there. This all makes sense once it's fully set up. I think for doors, I'm going to use something a little different this time, since I know I'm just going to remove them anyways. of our pre-painted Warlock doors. I went heavily into the Warlock tile system, as you can see. After many attempts to kind of make my own terrain, I was using, you know, molds and dental stone, trying to make terrain for Gloomhaven, which worked out. It's just, it's so much work. It's such an insanely huge amount of work. And then I had an attempt at, I backed Dungeons and Lasers, and I was gonna paint all that stuff up, which again is just like so much work. And so finally I just gave up and said, the money is less important to me than the time. And so I bought a shit ton of Warlock terrain stuff. Most of which, I mean, a lot of which I haven't had an opportunity to really use in gameplay yet, like these doors. It's kind of exciting, and they're really cool doors. Although I don't know how much of that actually comes off on camera. And basically this wall runs. Yeah. Need a couple of end pieces there. Using the wall connectors. Actually did a brief video about these just to show them off, because I haven't seen anybody talk about them. But I ended up losing the video somehow. I deleted it off my phone accidentally, and so I just said, fuck it. But I can show them off here. Nice, straight wall. Need to finish up that wall there. And then that's actually it for the walls. Okay, cool. Yeah, I need another 3Z though. Need a 3Z. So we'll go into the old Warlock storage. I've just always wanted a set of 3D dungeon terrain. I just always thought that that was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And so when I finally gave up on trying to paint it myself, I went in hard on the system. I have, this is but a shadow of the stuff that I have for the Warlock system. And I would really love it if WizKids would start putting some more shit out, because there really hasn't been anything of interest in this system since I bought into it, which was like early last year. I'd love to see some new tile sets, perhaps particularly like outdoor tiles or just terrain type tiles like water, grass, so that you could really mix it up. I would love to see that, because it's a pretty cool system. Someday I might like to go in and paint some additional details on here. I feel like even if you just picked out a few of these bricks in like a lighter, like a beigeish kind of color, then the set would really pop. But it's perfectly functional as is. And it still does look really good. Don't get me wrong, you're not slumming it with this. It's not quite, you know, like the other option you have in kind of, I want to spend ridiculous amounts of money on terrain, pre-painted terrain, is Dwarven Forge. Now they're running their Kickstarter right now, and I took a look at it because, again, I love this stuff. And, you know, I do pretty well for myself in terms of my career. My family is all, I'm a good provider, and I have expendable money. So I thought to myself, well, maybe I'll go all in on the Dwarven Forge stuff. But that's a whole nother, like, orders of magnitudes more expensive than this stuff. You're talking about, they have a pledge in that campaign that's for $6,800. And I don't even think it's everything. It's probably a lot of stuff, but if you can't get it all for the price of a car, for now at least, that's even without outside of my reach, where I will spend ridiculous amounts of money on stuff, but not tens of thousands of dollars. So anyways, moving on. We need our altars. I don't see any reason why I can't just use these things, because they're not getting used anyways. So we're gonna put an altar. I think it's right there. One away, one up. We're gonna put an altar. It's gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right there. And we're gonna put one right there. And I think really, and I don't know how much of this comes off on camera because I'm filming from overhead and whatnot, but the combination of the kind of chunky floors and walls, the doors, and then even laying these tiles on, it's pretty bitchin' looking. You know, like ideally I would replace, and I could do this, I have tons of terrain, I could replace a lot of this stuff with actual 3D elements. But you know, in this game specifically, you're supposed to be moving over these things. They don't really function as barriers as much as, in a lot of cases at least, these specifically are barriers, but in a lot of cases you're moving on to them, and so you need to be able to put your miniature on them. So I think that the combination of just the tiles and the 3 stuff actually works out pretty well. It's a pretty cool system. All right, so stairwell goes right there. I don't know, how should that fucking stairwell? Whatever. There you go. And then we need a shitload of traps. I've been proxying from Madara because they have a set of overlay tiles for terrain, and I've been using those for traps. I don't know that I have this many. We'll have to find out. I might. Madara is another game that I played Madara. I played through the first 5 or 6 quests of that game, and that game is also fucking rad. But that's one where by the time I got into playing it heavily, they had announced the reprint and the errata to the rules, and so I decided, well, I might as well just wait then until they get the rules sorted out. And I have the updated rules because they did send those out already, but I haven't circled back to the game yet. I will. All this stuff will get played sooner or later. I'm trying to back slightly less stuff to accommodate for the potential to someday actually play all of it with mixed results. All right, we've got a slight error here. This door is only supposed to be 3 in, so it's supposed to be right there. Let's see. Yeah, so that's easy enough to fix. Pull this out. And this is why I didn't embed. Usually, the way that this system works is you clip the walls into the terrain, you know, into the floors, so that, and you know, you gotta have it lined up, and I can't see what I'm doing there. So that it's stable, you know, so that it won't fall over on you or whatever. The problem is when you have a game like this where you're going from mission to mission and you're setting up and it's completely different, it's just a lot of work to take it apart and then rebuild it. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just laying the walls on top so that I can just move them around. Like if I had made this mistake and this stuff was snapped in, that would have been a major fucking problem, because we would have had to take this whole goddamn thing apart. And just the function of just like laying the walls out instead of snapping them in is so useful that I would love to see Warlock come out with some double thick walls, 1 inch thick walls. You know, this works perfectly fine where I'm just kind of faking it by snapping 2 of them together, but it'd be even easier if you could just kind of plop them right out, straight out of the box. Because walls in some of these games can be very finicky. Hero Quest is another game, is the game that I bought this system for primarily, Warhammer Quest and Hero Quest. And it's problematic with Hero Quest because in that game especially, the walls are drawn onto the board and they're quite thin. So even the thickness of one of these walls is too much. It starts fucking with the spacing of the map. And so I've had to like kind of math out, okay, if I adjust all of this, then it will rough out to the same. And so it would be easier to just put I think it would work if you just put the walls on the board instead of building them into the floor. But this is something I just came up with recently when I was trying to set this particular game up. I'm using these void tiles for the traps, and man, I don't think I have enough of these. This is so fucking annoying. Send me my fucking game. Like, I get it, be patient, but also, fuck you, send me my game. Because it's just blind luck that I happen to have a massive collection of dungeon crawlers from which to cobble this stuff together. You know, if I were little Timmy and I had gotten Tanares Adventures for my birthday and this was my first big dungeon crawler, I just would not be able to play this game until all the other stuff came. Yeah. There we go. Now we've got a giant pit of wall of spikes over here. I might just have to wait to set up the rest of this because I don't want confuse you all or myself by mixing and matching, you know, like, oh, okay, these are also spikes, but they're red, you know. If I'm in a proxy, I want to be able to at least do it consistently, but there are so many spikes. Basically out. Let's see, let's go into the Madara box. Show off some of my custom storage. So like I said, I don't fuck around with these games. I collect a lot of them, and these games are not, to my mind, playable out of the box. They have to be custom organized. And so my go-to custom organizer, I've done videos on this. This is how much I use this shit. Is the Stanley 25 with the removable compartments. These are actually surprisingly hard to find now, but they're still out there, I think. You can get them on like homedepot.com. I used to be able to just walk in and buy them. That is no longer the case. Yeah, we're gonna have to use 2 different types, if that even gets us to where we need to be. Let's see. I could use this. Again, that's blocking terrain. That might get confusing. Let's see how far we can get with. I got a pile of. They're bordered differently, but they're basically the same. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to finish this fucker out. Jesus H. Christ, send me my shit. Try to cover your game, get you exposure. I get nothing for doing this other than the adoration of my massive 400 subscriber user base, which I appreciate. I never thought I would come anywhere near 400 subscribers when I started out, although it still mystifies me that some of the bigger guys who I'm not that impressed with have these massive audiences. Mostly because they're much nicer to these companies than I am sometimes. The shit that I've said about CMON. Get me thrown in jail. And I actually like CMON. I just don't believe in bullshitting. You fucked up, you fucked up. You pay the price for your lack of vision. And CMON fucks up a lot. Fucking shipping. Trying to convince us that it costs $200 to ship Marvel Zombies or whatever that ridiculous number is. All right. All right, that's pretty good. Can't complain about that. That's our proxy tile setup. And I think we're good now. We've got our doors, our walls, got our tiles set down. Stairs, ready to go. Ready for the journey to begin. Other initial setup. Oh, right, the barrels. I've got some nice pre-painted barrels. that I'll use. Giant pile of Warlock stuffs. Barrels on barrels on barrels. It's a little different. I said some of these larger ones, I'll use these larger ones. See, I've got all sorts of cool shit here, and I do have some spike traps. I just don't have enough, you know. That one I painted myself. I've got a few in here. But even with my fairly large collection, I'm not nearly enough. Throw our barrels down. Got a barrel here. We got a barrel here. Yep. And we've got a barrel right there. In terms of initial setup, the only other things we have, the guys in the room, C and S. Okay, so we're using some figures that aren't actually villain kits. Okay. In terms of villains, though, we've got 15, 93, and 94. Back to our handy dandy, unbelievably awesome. Put 100 fucking expansions out for this game, and I'll keep buying them because this is so bitchin'. Enemy card set, where I just go, I find the numbers and the colors. 15, 93, 94. Where the fuck is 15? There we go. Yeah. So, get some of this stuff out of our way. I love these enemy cards. It's so well laid out. They do so much for the game. Got 93 orange and blue. So we need the specters. Those are the guys that are like kind of coming off of the gravestones. Our dungeons have been pretty cool. I could easily sub out some of that 3D terrain for these barricades. I don't see why that couldn't just be a table. Maybe I'll do that. I'll think about it. Reaper. And 2 specters. Yeah. I remember these. These are really cool miniatures. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why we wouldn't. Trivial to replace this stuff with some 3D elements again. I don't know if this is even gonna really show up on camera. But hell, we got the option. Gussy up our dungeon wall. Barrel is like at the end of your table there. Why not throw a crypt in there? Okay, cool. Now we are building a dungeon. I knew if I spent $1,000 on Warlock terrain stuff that sooner or later it would become valuable. I gotta rush off and tell my wife. Okay, and then the 3 enemies. We've got our bases here. And we'll get into their cards and everything in the next video. For now, I'm just getting it set up. Baby blue. Red. And the orange beast. There. Okay. So from that whoosh, to that. Not bad. I know the whole thing isn't on camera. I'll adjust our camera settings here so that we can get the whole board on. But beyond that, we are basically ready to start our campaign. So in the next video, that's exactly what we'll do. Quest 2, Know Your Enemy. Really hope you're enjoying this series. I'm enjoying making it. I feel like I'm finally kind of settling into taping long gameplay sessions. It's in terms of content creation, it's got to be one of the heaviest lifts because it's not easy just to film this stuff, especially if you don't know how to play the game. And editing it is an absolute nightmare. And I've been getting more into editing my videos lately, putting little transitions and stuff in and pop-ups just to make them more interesting. But this is like a hard counter to that because of the length of the content. It really becomes a matter of just like re-watching this shit so that I can edit it. It takes hours, obviously, because it's hours long. And you know, it's like, on top of filming it and everything, it can be a lot, but I think I'm getting a lot better at just not fucking my videos up so that I don't have to edit them as much. The only other thing we would do, put our guys out to our board here. Let's just make sure. settings. Nixie. There we go. Pull our camera up. See. There we go. Sorry about that. I had my camera, it wasn't snapped in quite right. Now you can see the whole thing basically. I was trying to figure it out because I have these stupid camera mounts. I haven't moved it. So it should still be in the same spot. But there you go. We have everything all set up and ready to go. Next time we will start playing. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. This game's awesome. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments of kind of combining the Warlock terrain system with Tanares Adventures. I think it's working really well. And I will talk to you later.